Welcome to episode 16 of Sport Oregon Voices. We're here at the People's Courts in Northeast Portland to talk all about pickleball in the Portland metro area and the future of the sport this fall and beyond. I'm Steve Paranto, proud member of the Pickleball Hall of Fame, and we're joined today by the People's Courts co-founder David Sachs and Rex founder Kevin Richards. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. And David, tell us how the opening has been going here with your new People's Courts.
It's been going great. We opened on August 25th. We had a grand opening weekend, and so just this last weekend was our first sort of full weekend where we had full hours, and people seemed to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I know you're a player.
I'm a tennis player, really, but I've played pickleball all my life, sort of throughout my childhood and beyond. But in the last few years, like everybody else, I've been playing a little bit more. So I'm enjoying pickleball quite a bit.
Is that what attracted you to think of opening this, as you had played a little bit and knew how fun it was?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always played and always loved it, but it was just, there weren't very many courts out there, so it wasn't something that I thought about, frankly, playing more than just every once in a while. And then actually my family owns a farm down in Oregon City and built a court down there about 10 years ago. And so our family's been playing down there whenever we'd go for the weekend. And so I've sort of gradually been playing more and more and really, really enjoying it. And we knew that this building had a lot of potential. It's a former bowling alley, and we just knew from a space perspective and, of course, the demand that we could build something special here.
Great. And we also have Kevin Richards here. And Kevin, you also opened up a pickleball club not too long ago, a little over a year ago. Rex, just up the road, just south on 205. Tell us about Rex.
Yeah, Rex, we opened about a year and a half ago, and we're in a 22,000 square foot facility with 9 cushioned indoor courts. Rex stands for Recreate, Exercise, Compete, Socialize. So when I originally came up with the concept about 8 years ago, I got reintroduced to pickleball around that time, and some friends and I had been playing soccer tennis, and we loved it, and I joked about making a business out of it, and all my friends encouraged me to do so, but I knew that, I couldn't really make a sport out of soccer tennis. But when I got reintroduced to pickleball, I was like, oh my gosh, everything that people love about this is the same thing that we love about soccer tennis. It's very social, it's extremely fun, it's very addictive, and you just want to hang out afterwards and maybe have a beverage with your friends and chat about the highlights and the lowlights. And so that's when I came up with the idea of building a business around a social sporting experience, and started working on that concept. And now we're open, like I said, about a year and a half, so very exciting.
You were really ahead of the curve, because I used to get phone calls from you 7, 8 years ago about possibly opening up a building and what kind of space we needed, how much space around the court. Yeah. You opened up during the pandemic, I believe, right?
Kind of right, yeah, as it was winding down.
I mean, I know your plans were, hey, we'll have some cornhole, but we have just been packed with pickleball players because of the boom, haven't we?
Yes. Pickleball does not appear in our business name, but it is 99% of what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're living in a parallel universe where, stories about pickleball in the news all the time. And people like to watch it, and they love to play it. And we see that all the time. And Dave, I'm sure, is and will be seeing that people just want to be on the courts playing. Like, it's extremely addictive and extremely healthy, and it has this analog connectivity that I think not a lot of sports do. And it's coming out of a pandemic, it's absolutely the perfect activity, getting people back together again.
Yeah. Now, Dave, you're coming from tennis, and I know this for a fact because when I played with you that one day, we came in with 2 of our pros. We came in with Judy and Joy, and I was told we get to see the People's Court, and I was all excited about another new facility I get to look at. And I like cornhole, I like table tennis, I like bocce, so I go, this is my heaven to have all these things. And I thought, but we have to play with the owner of the club, and he probably won't be, we'll just be nice to him. And you were good. And after that day, I thought, this guy is really good. And I asked you if you had played tennis, and you said, a little bit. Well, that night I'm doing some research, and you were the state high school tennis champion for Lincoln High School. And that's not playing just a little bit. That's very...
I may have said I play a little bit now. Yeah, okay. I played a lot growing up.
You were very humble.
There's no question about it.
And then you played tennis for Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's big-time tennis. pickleball is attracting tennis players like no other sport.
I mean, really, anybody who's played a sport and held a racket or a paddle in their hand, whether it's ping pong or badminton or racquetball or tennis, is going to pick up pickleball. In my experience, will pick up pickleball pretty easily. And it's frankly, in a lot of ways, just a more approachable sport than just about any others, both to people who want to change and try something new, or to someone who's never picked up a sport in their lives. It just comes pretty easily to most people. And what's amazing is the number of people who are playing for the first time or just starting to play. I'd say since we opened, half the people who are coming to our facility are renting paddles. They don't even own their own paddles yet, because everybody wants to start to play, and they love it. It's just a really approachable game, and so for me, it's a fairly smooth transition to start to play pickleball more seriously, and I mean, it's just a lot of fun.
I'd like to see you in the tournament scene, so.
I might play it. One of these days I'll try to play.
You're not 50 yet.
No,
so,
45.
So 50 is when we become a senior competitor, so we'll get you ready to be on that senior pro tour. So.
I'd rather play a 50-year-old than a 25.
Yes, yeah. For those people who think that pickleball isn't athletic, we've found out in the last few years, because the average age of players have gone down from average being 58 to now 38. I think Kevin knows more about that. He's looked at all the statistics on what have you seen with the trend of ages.
I mean, it's fascinating because, when else has a movement gone viral that started with seniors? Mm-hmm. It's not very common. And I like to hear you tell the story, and maybe we can get the study about, your theory about what happened in Arizona and Florida. But all those folks down there that started playing the game, they took it back north because there's a lot of snowbirds. So now suddenly in the Great Lakes and in Canada, there's all these people that fell in love with pickleball in these retirement communities and took it back north. A lot of people think that it was older people that started playing in Arizona, but you're...
Well, my theory on this, because I am now 67, I have to think, wow, how'd that happen? But I'm 67. I started playing when I was 18. So next year's going on my 50th year playing pickleball. Tacoma, Seattle area, it was invented in Bainbridge Island, not too far. So we had a lot of young people playing tournaments because it was a tournament thing. So the people who were winning tournaments were younger people. As we got older and retired, moved to Arizona, there's no pickleball, so we're turning tennis courts into pickleball courts, lining them, temporary nets, and it became a big that was kind of our first boom in pickleball, was the kids who had learned in the 70s and 80s, bringing it to these retirement age communities, falling in love with it, and then they're snowbirds, so they come back to the Northwest during the warm weather and no places to play.
They start playing with their grandkids,
and
like Dave was saying, the low barrier to entry, it's just everybody can do it, but it's hard to perfect. So there's always someone better, so you can keep improving at it. And so now you see on TV, you see these young people making money doing it, and seniors as well. It's kind of wild, but I think it's incredibly popular because you're close to your partner, you're close to your opponent. There's more doubles than singles, a lot more, and so it just makes it inherently social. And that is so different than I think like tennis or golf, where the actual sport you're kind of more in your head. Whereas with pickleball, you just can't help but be very social when playing, and that's what makes it such a sticky experience.
Yeah, the game is changing all the time. People who, like myself, who've even played for this number of years, we're still working on new shots, new strategies. The game is just developing all the time. You've probably noticed that even through your play in the last few years. You're probably working on different shots that you didn't think existed, maybe even, or you're adapting some of your tennis shots that you didn't think you could adapt.
Yeah, I mean, I play too much like a tennis player, so I'm having to try and learn to play more like a pickleball player, because against good pickleball players, playing like a tennis player doesn't quite work. So I'm trying to learn to be more patient, I would say. But what's really fun about pickleball is that the levels all converge. I can't play tennis with my kids and be able to really play hard and have fun because of the power difference and the speed difference. But with pickleball, age and gender and even skill level to some degree all converge, and you really can play with a lot of people and enjoy the experience. And that's, I think, another thing that people really enjoy about pickleball.
We have a well-known family. Two of them are in the Pickleball Hall of Fame that 4 generations are playing at the same time, on the same court, enjoying the game. And I don't, we could do that in a few other sports, but I can't think of a sport that's better for that than pickleball.
I agree.
We have Norm, who plays at our club, who just turned 90. He's in the Pickleball Hall of Fame, and he helped get pickleball going in Surprise, Arizona community.
Right.
And then we have kids camps. So we have little dinkers. We had 6 and 7-year-olds playing this summer. And it is this great equalizer where you teach a class called Beat the Bangers, and it's about helping. Dave, you should come take
People
me.
like me, it sounds like me.
Actually, you're the banger that they're trying. See,
Oh.
tennis players, when they come into pickleball, they can be a banger and beat a lot of pickleball
Up
players.
to a certain point.
Up to a certain point. You have a
Right.
ceiling.
Right, exactly.
About as high as a ceiling. Until you can learn to dink and strategize a little better, but that works really well. Senior pickleball. Tell us about the seniors playing at Rex. Because
We've really, for Rex is really kind of a wellness, concept. We do have some food and beverage. We do encourage people to stick around, but it's so great to get people moving, and movement is healing. I've heard that, said before, and it's so true. And so we have so many active seniors playing at our club that are using their insurance to play there, a lot of them. And for them, it's community in addition to exercise. But, you hear these stories all the time of pickleball saved my life. And they might be talking about, I lost 100 pounds or, 50 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. Or I lost a spouse, and now I have a community. I was depressed, and we have that at our club. We have people who have had serious health challenges, and it's just so reassuring when, we're in the trenches dealing with the ownership of a business and entrepreneurism, and sometimes you forget, and then someone pulls you aside and says, "Thank you. My life is so much better than it was 2 years ago or a year ago," and you realize, oh my gosh, we've created this thing where people, it's their third place, and for some people it's their second place. There's home, there's maybe work unless they're retired, and then there's the club, and they're there all the time. It's first summer we were a little nervous. Parking lot could be a little empty. Second summer is much busier, but now we're having those good kind of problems where it's oh man, people are doing anything they can to get onto the courts. It's just, and again, I'm curious about your guys' theory of watching pickleball on TV. I think that it's hard to appreciate unless you play a fair amount. I think it's fun to watch, but people, more so than wanting to watch it, they love to play it.
Right.
Just people will play for 2 hours, and it's just 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just exercised for 3 hours.
Well, speaking of watching top-level players on TV, we're on, I remember when I was so excited that we're on YouTube. If you find this spot, this thing called YouTube, you could watch the Nationals. Well, now we're on live streamed every weekend. One of the tours is on YouTube, or we might be on the Tennis Channel. We might be on CBS Sports Network. We might be on ESPN, and I'm not talking about ESPN, the Ocho channel. I'm talking about regular ESPN. We're getting so much coverage. It was just 4 years ago when I would tell people that I played pickleball, they would say, "What's that?" Now, when I get that response, I think, where are you? If you don't watch television, you don't read the newspaper. If we're in the media headlines. Have you ever seen? Can you think of a sport that has blown up in the United States this quickly?
I can't. People talk about racquetball in the 70s and 80s. It's I was born in 78, so it's I sort of missed that. But the sense I get is that was big, but this is next level big. Yeah. And nothing that I can think of, no.
Yeah, me neither.
You turn on the TV and you laugh about the Ocho, and there's cornhole and spike ball, and pickleball. I think it has a lot to do with these two Texas billionaires that are duking it out very publicly for supremacy with their properties, the different tournaments. I think there is well-founded concern that they're creating maybe a bubble at the pro level. I just don't see it changing though at the amateur level where people just want to keep playing. I don't see that going away. I don't see the issues with racquetball coming into pickleball. You need walls to play racquetball. You need very specific courts. Whereas this, during the pandemic, people were just, what can we do? New York Times had an article, is pickleball the perfect pandemic sport? And it's about just buying a net and putting it in your driveway, and you're 8 feet from your opponent, the person you're playing with. And so it really was. So many people discovered it during the pandemic and got addicted to it. Anyone can do it. And it's one of the reasons why I think we've been talking about the podcast that you're going to be launching soon in partnership with us. Can we ask you a little bit
Well,
about
yeah.
it?
Well, there are a lot of popular pickleball podcasts currently out there. I had one about 5 years ago. It was the first call-in live pickleball talk show. There's only like one or two at the time. I think you can still find it. It was called Pickleball Talks with Steve Paranto. Nice. But nobody currently has one geared for the senior player and the average player. If you watch podcasts now on pickleball, it's all about how's Ben Johns, who won the pros this week. Mm-hmm. But most of the people that play recreationally don't really care about how the pros did last week. Right. They want to improve their game. They want to understand the rules. They want maybe to prevent being hurt. Mm-hmm. So we can do some things about preventing injuries, drills that can improve their game, skills that can improve their game, help them understand the rules, places to play. I mean, it's endless really on the topics that we could cover on a show like that.
And that'll be called?
That'll be the Pickleball Fountain of Youth with Steve Paranto, shot at Rex mainly, maybe even some at my indoor facility, sounds like. So, talk about people changing their lives. We talked a little bit about this before the show, but I have a long list of friends whose life has totally changed. They go, I quit my job. Yeah. Wait, you were a big salesperson at Fred Meyer, and yep, quit. Yeah. I'm now I'm a pickleball pro. I'm on tour. Or I was a teacher for 20 years, quit, gave up my PERS, I'm a full-time pickleball pro. We know that person. We know people who were in sales who now they're instructors traveling the world.
The demand for people who want to get better is one of the things that sort of blows me away. Mm-hmm. I play for fun, and most people play for fun. But even people playing for fun, the drive of amateur players in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s to want to improve and get better is something that has surprised me. It's amazing.
Right.
It creates this phenomenon in communities, whether it's the ad hoc pickleball clubs out in the parks or more formal ones like ours, where everyone wants to play someone a little bit better than them.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to play the people that they're better than.
Yeah.
And so, not that we need to go into the ratings conversation, because that's a big can of worms.
Yeah.
But it is this interesting phenomenon where, there's some tension there, and I don't know exactly how to solve it. I don't know if we need to, but everyone, like Dave said, is always trying to improve and get better. And what's cool is that you can. You can't perfect it, right? I mean, there are, even the best player in the world, Ben John, says, I'm going to get displaced here at some point.
Yeah, and the top players are drilling, they'll tell you 3 or 4 times more than they play. And now, we didn't do that in the old days. But.
And better athletes are playing.
That's
right?
absolutely true. Well, you have to say that about tennis also, don't you?
100%.
When you look at Alcaraz, you look at
these guys are freaks. They're incredible athletes. And you're starting to see in pickleball better and better athletes. You're seeing more people who had been professional tennis players or would have maybe tried to make it as a tennis player are now going the pickleball route. Because at least at this point, right, it's still largely just in the United States or mostly in the United States. Whereas tennis is so international that it's almost overwhelming. And people are saying, I'm going to try my hand at pickleball. And so superior athletes are starting to play. And like any sport, I think the better the athlete, the higher the ceiling for a player.
Absolutely, and that is happening. That's obviously happening. We'll have, the top, we now have, Sam Querrey just retired from tennis. Right. He's playing pickleball. Jack Sock is even a higher rated player. They both got signed in Major League, one of the tours. I think they got signed with PPA. So those guys are coming over to play pro pickleball. I'm waiting. I'm the age of McEnroe. I want McEnroe to give me a phone call and play some doubles with
I'm sure he's
McEnroe.
probably pretty good.
Well, have you seen him play?
No, I haven't. I know he played in an exhibition, but I'm sure it wouldn't take him long to get awfully good with his hands. I mean, having great hands is a huge advantage.
Yeah, he would, age group wise, there's no doubt that I'd love to work with him for about 2 months and have him work on all the doubles skills. Like he's still fairly fit. And the hands are great.
You talked about the senior Steve, but then on the youth side, you've been working with some younger players who now are playing on some of these tours, and I think younger people are seeing like, oh, this is a real thing, and that's always when kids can see something on TV, it legitimizes it. And
well, we have our first millionaires now in pickleball, and we have this last week probably 10 new millionaires because of the two pro tours signing, trying to beat each other's contract. Well, kids see that, parents of kids see that, and think, wow, I could get my kids signed and their college could be paid for, right? So, wow, that's...
Well, and so you and I recently, and your background as a PE teacher, we've brought in North Clackamas School District PE teachers, and you've taught them, here's the rules of pickleball, here's how you play, and immediately we're starting to see it filter into these PE curriculums locally. And so you and I were like, you know what, let's go talk. So Pete Weber's the head of OSAA, high school sports in Oregon, and he and his wife, Jill, play at our club with their kids, and they always have these epic battles. And we're like, let's go chat with Pete and see what it would take to get pickleball into high schools. And so we went and met with him about a month ago, and he explained to us that process, what it's like, and that it can be pretty challenging. Oregon has not added a sport in, what do you say, like...
It was in the 70s until this year they added women's girls wrestling. A new sport hadn't been added to SAA for over 30 years or something like that.
But this is going to happen, and it is happening in other states around the country that you're seeing pickleball enter into school curriculums, and now there's high schools and colleges have teams. So, I think it's safe to say that we're going to see clubs popping up at schools.
Yeah.
And, whether it's teachers or parents that are just, and it's going to take that, someone willing to say, I will deal with the equipment and I'll get the courts. But you've got so many passionate people playing pickleball that this is starting to happen, and we're going to see more and more of that. And I think that'll just assure us that, it's not going away.
Yeah, you have a high school right across the street.
We do.
Is there a possibility that a PE class could,
We've talked with, we've got a really good relationship with the principal at McDaniel High School. We're right across the street from McDaniel High School, formerly Madison. We actually have 6 or 7 McDaniel High School students working for us, working at our front desk, working here. So we've employed them. They're doing an awesome job. They're here. We have a McDaniel kid, at least one, if not 2 or 3 here every single day working. And I'm sure that we will partner with them at some point. We've talked about that, about some programming that we can do with them, and it's awesome. I mean,
They're excited.
that would make sense to me. Well, you know what really makes sense about high school club sports with pickleball? Have the sports season for pickleball be in the fall.
exactly.
Use those tennis courts.
Yes.
They're there. Right. And then many of those same kids are going to build skills for tennis.
That's exactly right. And I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah. Tennis is a spring sport in Oregon. It's in some other, I think in Washington it's actually a fall sport. So in different states it's a different, but here it's a spring sport, always has been. So yeah, use the fall and have pickleball in the fall, and you're going to get kids who might otherwise have only played one sport during the school year, and now they'll play 2. Right. So I think it makes perfect sense to do that, and I suspect that will start happening as there's more and more pickleball courts available. I think that we'll start seeing that.
Yeah, I'm seeing for the first time ever where kids actually learn pickleball before tennis, and they get good at pickleball, and then they make their tennis team. Will, one of our top Northwest players, is a good example of that, coached by Wes Gabrielson in high school tennis. But Wes taught him pickleball first, and it was easy for him to make the varsity tennis team because of all the skills that he had learned in pickleball. It was just
I have a 10-year-old, and he was able to pick up a pickleball paddle and enjoy that before he was able to pick up a tennis racket. And now he plays tennis tournaments. He plays pickleball for fun, but he's really a tennis player. But he played pickleball first. It's easier for a really young kid with the smaller court and the smaller paddle. I think it absolutely helped his hand-eye coordination and his comfort just swinging a racket.
Right. Well, the progression only makes sense.
Right.
To start, here we have paddles this long
Exactly.
rather than this long. That we're going to make contact, and we have a ball that doesn't go boing
Right.
and just shoot up in the air. It's slower. And so, I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, they did this in tennis with mini tennis programs
Right.
for
Yeah.
many years.
And
so.
tennis has improved a lot in that regard. They've got dead compression balls and smaller rackets. So tennis has done, I think, actually a really good job compared to when I was a kid. I see photographs when I was 3 feet tall using a racket as big as I was trying to hit the ball up here. Yeah. So tennis has done a pretty good job at trying to bring the game down to younger kids. They really have. But you can't make it as easy as pickleball.
No. Yeah.
We have to convince the tennis coaches that pickleball is not going to harm the game of their tennis players.
Yeah.
Right? And there's some tennis coaches that are, I think, on board with that. I think, the coach at Ida B. Wells, tennis coach who's all in on pickleball. He helped get the courts established over there. And I think as we do that, as we get more of the tennis coaches to realize, I mean, if skiing and snowboarding can peacefully coexist now, why not tennis and pickleball?
Yeah.
Is it okay if we mention the Oregon Cup? So yeah, on Saturday, September 30th, we're hosting the Oregon Cup, the men's Oregon Cup. The women's took place a couple months ago. So it'll be at Rex starting at 8 a.m. It's 32 of the men's best players in the state competing on 4 teams in an MLP-style format. And tickets are available at wearerex.com/spotlight. We'll have vendors, food truck, raffle items. It's going to be a very, very fun day with extremely high-level pickleball taking place, close enough you can almost reach out and touch these guys. It's a day not to be missed.
What do you guys feel will be the next big growth and boom in pickleball? Some people say, well, this can't keep going. Do you think it can keep going?
There's just not enough courts for people to play. And so when Dave came, to chat with me 6 or 9 months ago, I was like, awesome. Like, we need more places for people to play pickleball. And there will be other places opening up in Portland. There are 2.5 million future pickleball players in Portland. They just don't all know it yet, is the way I look at it. Once they play, they're going to fall in love with it. And I think that's the case all over the country. I still think we're in early days. And globally, pickleball was invented on a badminton court, and the dimensions are the same as a badminton court. There are future pickleball courts all over the world. Badminton's huge in Europe and Asia, and they're still discovering it in those places. And there's organizations like the World Pickleball Federation that are doing a very good job. And did you say Maccabi Games? Is that?
Yeah. Seymour Rifkin got us into the Maccabi Games.
Nice.
Which is usually a precursor to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And
so I think
that's a big goal, I'm sure.
That's coming in 28 or 32 is what people think. So I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I agree. Just like I said, the number of people who are coming here and playing for their first time that's been the biggest surprise. We knew we'd get people who were excited about pickleball, but people just want to try it. People want to play, and I feel confident that once people play, they're going to want to play again. There's things I've done where I played once and I said, you know what, not for me. I don't see that with pickleball very often.
We have intro classes at Rex, and I teach a lot of those. I would say 80% of those people, for sure they're coming back because they like it so much. They're in the pro shop asking me, which paddle should I get? They already want to get the pro paddle, even though they've just knocked the ball around a couple of times.
Junkies out there.
I just wanted to close with you telling us anything more about your club that you want Portland, Oregon area to know about.
Yeah, wearerex.com is the website, and there's a pop-up right now that'll take you to information on the Spotlight page about the Oregon Cup coming up. We do have the intro class we offer 2 or 3 times a week, and then from there we try to make sure we let people know what they can do next in terms of reserving courts, group play, different round robins, clinics they can sign up for, lessons they can take, other special events that they can do. We do corporate events and team buildings and work with the school district. We're going to do a lot more kids camp stuff next summer. So, yeah, I that's in a nutshell. Just come check us out.
Dave, could you tell us a little bit more about the People's Courts before we end the show?
Yeah, so we've only been open about 11 days now, but people are so excited. The feedback from the neighborhood has been really incredible. It's been entirely positive. People are just excited to have this new facility here. We have 2 full restaurants and bars. We also have ping pong and bocce ball and cornhole. We're gonna have disc golf. So we really are trying to, market ourselves and build a business around having not just pickleball, but having a lot of other things. A place where you can come and stay and have dinner, eat and drink. You don't have to play pickleball at all. You can just come here or do anything other than come and hang out and have a beer and watch a game. But we really want to provide an opportunity for people who want to try pickleball for the first time, or again, come in a large group and 2 or 3 people play, or maybe 4 people play pickleball and you got 4 people on a bocce court and a couple people just hanging out watching a game. So that's really what we're about.
I want to come play Galaga.
We don't have Galaga. We've got Miss Pac-Man.
Okay.
We've got Miss Pac-Man, and I've actually put a request in for a Galaga machine. I forgot to plug the arcade. We also have an arcade. Yeah.
So the kids could be in the arcade and
Yes.
parents could be playing some
And we've
pickleball.
got Dance Dance Revolution, which is
Oh, yeah.
drawing an incredibly diverse crowd
Really?
into the arcade.
We have to make sure we get Steve sampling that on the.
Yeah, we'll put it on the Fountain of Youth podcast with me doing Dance Dance Revolution.
There we go.
Yeah. So thanks, Dave. Thanks, Kevin, for being in this show today and telling us all about your facilities. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be enjoying this, especially with the winter just around the corner. Pickleball's going to be perfect in the Portland area with all the rainy days ahead. So that's a wrap, everybody. And I sure hope that a lot of you in Portland, Oregon, come out, play pickleball at these indoor facilities. You're going to love it.